It is Locked On Jazz for the 11th of January. The Utah Jazz went to Detroit, couldn't guard the Pistons, lost the game, and I said pull the fire alarms. Maybe I'm right. We'll talk about what happened, an incredibly lack of collectiveness on the offensive end as well. It's all coming up on today's edition of Locked On Jazz. Bum 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 pow.
You are Locked On Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi, I'm David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz, Jazz NBA insider. This is Locked On Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz, giving you insight, expertise, geeky numbers, and hopefully making it way better to be a Jazz fan each and every day. You need it today. I probably should have brought the happy hat today. Thank you so much for making Locked On Jazz your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all platforms. And if you're on YouTube, you can grab it and subscribe right over here somewhere. And click the subscribe button. We got great subscribers. Hit the bell button, and then you'll be notified. Special hello to the crew. Paul, Dalen, Yorgis in Greece. Lacey, are you okay? Bo, or Bob, who had some funny comments last night in the chat. Derek, Jim, and TJ. Thanks to have you with us. All right. Let me take a few moments. There are a bunch of things here. What happened on the court is indisputable. I want to give a thought or two, and then we should really talk about how incredible Rudy Gobert is, right? I mean, like, what we just watched for 2 games was a team we completely don't recognize on either end of the floor. Absolutely horrendous defensive team. Indiana had their 6th best offensive game of the year. Pistons had their 2nd best offensive game of the year. And even offensively became a team that was unrecognizable in the game without Rudy Gobert. Like, you know what? We've all sat here. We've all trumpeted it. We've all talked about it. I've tried to claim he's a top 5 most impactful player in the league. Like, I don't actually have to claim it anymore. Like, it's abundantly obvious how amazing Rudy Gobert is. I'll dig into it more in a second. I do want to open the show with this, and this is hard because I'm not on the road with the team. I'm in the van. And if I was on the road with the team, I think I'd be able to give you a better understanding of this. But there is a chance that the incredible, overwhelming stress of Omicron running through the team. I mean, I was interacting with guys yesterday. I mean, there was just a stress level. Like, it started with the coaches, then a player, then another player, then another. And it was just rolling, right? We just kept getting text message after text message yesterday about another player and another this and another. And they all got to figure out where are they going to be and where you're going to stay. And you're terrified when you're in Toronto that you're going to test positive and be stuck there for 10 days. And then you're stuck, you're worried when you're in Detroit. If I come up positive right now, I'm stuck here. And what do I do about my family? And how do I get back? And and actually the way it works right now, talking to some of the guys, if you get stuck and you're quarantined right now, they're only home for like a little bit and then they're back out on another road trip. You could go 25 days without seeing your family really easily right now. I do think we have to take a quick second and at least acknowledge the stress and the anxiety that's running through this team right now with everything that's going on with the virus, with it spreading, the fact that they're now in the midst of the spread. I talked to a team yesterday, 38 of their 60 members of their traveling party got it. Like, this thing's going to spread. We're in the midst of it. We got another, I'm guessing, 10 to 14 days of this where every day we just get 2 or 3 more positive tests. Like, at some point it stops, right? But I do think they look so out of character and so bad against both Indiana and Detroit that you have to at least consider this. Now, I can flip over on the other side of my shoulder from the Animal House here and say, I was talking to a friend last night, and he was like, is it just, come on, it's just they're out of character, the stress, 5th game of road trip. I was like, yeah, right, but we actually have some data that says to us, without Rudy Gobert on the floor, we're the 12th percentile of all defenses, and we're horrendous, and this has been going on for 3 years without Rudy, And now all of a sudden we played back-to-back games without Rudy because he hardly ever misses games. And suddenly we turn two not good offensive teams into juggernauts. Like, that's a little disturbing. The other thought I would give, and I'm not trying to like we'll address, like, that was bad. Like, don't misunderstand. And I'm way more concerned, quite honestly, about what I saw on the offensive side of the ball and then what I saw on the defensive side of the ball. What I saw on the offensive side of the ball was a lack of togetherness, collectiveness, unity that I've never seen out of a Jazz team before. Now, maybe Rudy does that too, and I'll get into it. So I'm kind of all over the map here. I'm trying to stay a little focused, which is not the easiest thing. So first point on this is, hey, they're human. There could be a real anxiety, COVID, exhaustion, funky road trip, some going to Toronto, some not, running through the team, testing all the time, waiting for your test results. There's a real chance that you dealt with a distracted team that, okay, we got that. You can decide whether you want to put that into your equation. I'm going to give you items that you can put into your equation, and then you can decide how to react to what the Jazz did the last two games, and particularly losing to Detroit and not being able to defend Detroit. The second one, it's really interesting. If you actually look at how this team's built, is you actually have to give some incredible credit to Quinn Snyder and the coaching staff and the front office. The organism that is the Utah Jazz is, on one level, incredibly, perfectly, exquisitely put together. What we've discovered is it's also incredibly fragile. Now, it seems to be fragile both in its makeup of personnel and, frankly, seems to be fragile in either confidence or fortitude or resiliency or grit, right? Like, unfortunately, you lost a 22-point lead. I think that actually, someone pointed this out. I didn't look it up last night. I think it's like the first regular season 20-point loss we've had in like 8 years. So we're usually pretty good. But we have the Denver playoffs and we have the Clipper playoffs, which are lingering issues over the top of our head of times where our team just did not fight through things very well. Now, what was built by the front office and by this team is this incredible offensive juggernaut predicated on the greatest defensive player in the world. And they've built it in such a beautiful fashion with players that actually kind of match to it perfectly. And it all comes together to the best record in the NBA last year. They have the winningest record since 16-17. And last night, they lost to the worst team in the league, and they couldn't get a stop against arguably the worst defense in the history of the NBA. Like, that contrast is incredible. Like, mind-blowing. It's a tribute to Rudy. Rudy's the kingpin on how this entire thing has been built, structured by the front office, and how the coaching staff has built it. And so you literally have a guy in the middle who, when he's on the team last year and plays virtually every game, he literally we went 52-20, had the best record in the NBA. We have the best record in the league since 16-17. You pull him out of it, and the Detroit Pistons, who were 10 points below league average offensively, the biggest margin I could find anywhere on anything. The last three teams that actually were close no longer exist: the Charlotte Bobcats, New Orleans Hornets, and the New Jersey Nets. And they turn up and put a 120-plus offensive rating on us for their second-best offensive rating of the year, 2 nights after the Indiana Pacers put up the 6th best. And the fact of the matter is, the Detroit Pistons just spread the floor, drove at our guys, and said, I dare you to guard us. And we couldn't do it. Like, that's crazy. Now, we're going to dig into it, and I'm going to dig into the offensive side. And I'm not going to lie to you. I am super concerned about what I saw offensively. We lost the game because we were horrendous defensively. I'm super concerned long-term about what I watched offensively. Not like that is not good. But the two early takeaways, there is a human element to this. And the thing that's been built is incredible and perfectly molded, but it's like crystal. And if anything goes wrong, it seems to just shatter. All right. That is the opening thoughts on this. We'll dig into like what has happened defensively, what it means, where we go, take some of your comments, and then we'll look at the utter lack of passing the basketball. It's just stunning of what happened yesterday. And I don't no Rudy, I guess. Today's show is brought to you by Murdoch Hyundai, located at 4646 South State Street, also located in Logan and in Linden. The really incredible people, the Murdochs, have decided that they will not increase MSRP in any way, shape, or form, even though there's a car shortage going on. We're not playing that game. It's basically the message that they sent. And Blake literally said to me, I'm not going to the grocery store and I'm not going to church having got an extra $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 out of someone because of a tough time. So we're not going to do that. The other element, they've got more cars coming in. There's actually some pretty good inventory right now. They're all coming in by February. So get it done. We own 2 Santa Fe's. I'm driving a Kona right now. Well, right now I'm driving the van, but driving a Kona is my regular car right now. You can all check it out. The Elantra won North American Car of the Year. The Sonata was what I was driving before. Someone bought my red Sonata used that I was driving. I'm very jealous if you're out there. I'm mad at you for that because that car was great. All check it out at Murdoch Hyundai, 4646 South State Street. Today's show is also brought to you by our friends over at betonline.ag. If you're going to get into the activity for the football playoffs, then make sure you do it with betonline.ag with the promo code LOCKEDON. You get a 50% welcome bonus. The Bengals are a 6-point favorite over the Raiders, while the Bills are a 4-point favorite over the Patriots on Saturday. Sunday, the Buccaneers are an 8.5-point favorite against the Eagles, and the Cowboys are a 3-point favorite over the Niners, while the Chiefs are a 13-point favorite over the Steelers. And on Monday night, the Rams are a 4-point favorite over the Cardinals. Not sure that last night did much for our NBA future odds. The championship odds right now are still Brooklyn plus 275. They lost last night in a game that they should have never lost. Golden State plus 325. Milwaukee plus 750. Phoenix plus 900. Lakers plus 1,200, Jazz plus 1,200. They have not changed since yesterday, but frankly, we are sliding out of the title contender category, according to betonline.ag. Thanks very much for making Locked On Jazz your first listen of the day. I really love Locked On Now. Go check it out, both on the NFL and the podcast level. Locked On Now brings you a recap. I just recap the whole NFL Sunday, recap last night's action. That's available for you today. Then I jumped to Locked On Today. That was my drive up to here to Snowbird. I got it all. Everything I need to know, that's available for you. Thanks very much for making us the first listen of the day. I see a lot of comments in the comment zone. Nice audience live today. Super appreciate it. All right. Defensively, last night, what really happened is the same thing that happened against the Clippers, the same thing that happened earlier this year, the same thing that's been happening to us time and time again, which is the Detroit Pistons in the second half of the game predominantly just spread the floor, played Trey Lyles at center once they got Isaiah Stewart off the floor, and they just drove the basketball down our throat. Our defensive rating in the third quarter last night was a 148. Okay, Detroit's offensive rating is 100. It's 10 points below league average. Like, that's so bad. It's actually so bad, I almost kind of go to the anxiety and stress thing I brought up earlier, because it's unfathomable that this team could be that bad defensively against a Detroit Pistons team that's not good and is awful offensively. Royce O'Neal had no chance on Cade Cunningham last night. None. And then they'd switch Boyan on him, and he had no chance. And then we'd rotate badly, and then they'd hit wide open threes. And there's some point where like, oh, well, they went 9 of 11 on corner threes, which is, I agree, absurd. But actually, the game wasn't even close. Back-to-back games, we never got inside 5 points with 5 minutes left. So we can talk about the threes, but and how much shots they had, but I'm not sure that's actually valid. In the fourth quarter, our defensive rating was a 158. So I mean, did we just wear out? We really just tired on a 5-game road trip? Hard to believe. There's not a player on the roster that ducked out of the second half defensively. Royce O'Neal defensive rating 157. Bojan 158. Hassan 152. That means that they're scoring 1.5 points per possession when they cross half court. Mike Conley 1.4. Donovan Mitchell 158. Clarkson 153. Norvel Pell 120. But the offense is a 40. He doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know the roster. Eric Paschall, 150. Daniel House, 143. Okay, we're playing some guys we're not used to playing. But frankly, in the second half last night, Hassan Whiteside played 15 minutes. Norvel Pell played 2. And Daniel House played 6. So really, last year, the number 1 defensive team in all of the NBA, take one guy off that roster, and we're allowing a 152 for 24 minutes against the Detroit Pistons? That's crazy. We should just be having a Rudy parade today. We should just literally, if this is really what it is, we should literally just be all going to the team store and buying Rudy shirts right now. It's incredible. We got outscored in the final 30 minutes of the game. 94-64 by the Detroit Pistons. I don't even know what I think's most remarkable to that. I mean, the Detroit Pistons should not, you can be tired, we can be all the things we've talked about. It shouldn't be the case. You would hope that you get on the floor and those things go away. But 5-game road trip, fatigue, I guess. Really, really hard. Really, really hard to grasp. 94-62. The Detroit Pistons shot 61% from the floor, 68% from 3. They didn't shoot a free throw in the first half. They went 11 of 12 in the second half. I mean, it is kind of so out of body that it's super hard to not kind of wonder what else might be going on. But it was really, and to think, this is great. If Rudy plays, Detroit doesn't score, right? We know that. If Rudy plays last night, Detroit doesn't score. Buy your 27 jersey. This really should just be kind of where I started, this incredible, amazing tribute to how totally incredible Rudy Gobert is. And then, honestly, that our team has been built in a manner to maximize what it is to the point where it has the best record in the NBA last year and one of the best records in the NBA this year and has been so dang good. And then, it gets exposed in the playoffs. But, we're seeing what the exposure is the minute you pull Rudy out. Holy cow. Now, the concerning thing, actually, honestly, and I guess we can, Royce couldn't guard, Bojan couldn't guard, Jordan couldn't guard, Donovan couldn't guard, Mike couldn't guard. They got all of them last night. I watched the second half. I'm not trying to, none of them could guard. Now, is that, again, collective, energy, whatever? Again, that seems strange. But that's what I watched. So, and Hassan Whiteside's he's a minimum center. Like, he's a good minimum center. So there's a great, like, I don't remember where I was. This was before it was viral. It was before guys were making $30 million. And I was with a coach. We're kind of chatting. I think Mike's wrong. I can't really remember. And we were actually kind of asking him his meeting. We're kind of being idiots about, like, well, and like, he's like, the guy on the bench, we pay $22 beeping million. You know why? Because he's beeping good. Like, we pay Rudy Gobert $30 some odd million. You know why? Because he's beeping good. And he makes a difference. And, like, the idea that he doesn't play and we're supposed to just be okay is a stretch. We shouldn't get outscored 94-62 by the Detroit Pistons, though. I'm willing to go there. Okay. This right here, every possession and the number of passes that was thrown on each of those possessions of the second half. It's really, really bothersome to me and against the core of who we are. And it's the issue that I think is the long-lasting issue that has to be solved from yesterday, because the other stuff gets solved when 27 comes back. We'll talk about it when we continue on Locked On Jazz. Thanks very much for making Locked On Jazz your first listen of the day. Locked On Now should be your next listen of the day. All right. Third quarter, we open up the third quarter. We're ahead by 10. We actually throw 3 passes on the first possession. Donovan has a really weird turnover, like he's not, like, totally plugged in. Like, it was weird. He throws the ball and it's a flare pass that's supposed to go to Mike. It's a double flare to Mike. We throw 3 possessions. It's the only possession in the entire second half in which a player passes a basketball and touches it again. The Jazz had 1 possession in the entire second half of the game in which they passed the ball and somebody else touched the ball. Somebody who passed the ball touched the ball again. When you no longer believe that if you give up the basketball, you're going to get it back, you stop passing. Okay? So that's the first possession. We run a nice little set play. It's a play we run a lot. It's a double flare from Mike, and Donovan airmails the pass. The next possession, we make 1 pass to Bogey. He goes one-on-one, dribbles off his leg, out of bounds. The next possession, we throw 2 passes. Donovan turns it over on the second one. Again, a really weird, throws in the backcourt, strains like he's not plugged in. Like, as though Donovan came out of the locker room, just wasn't totally engaged. You actually see him at one point knocking his head. Again, I'm not there, so these are hard. This is like just kind of what you do when you're not there. Our next possession, we run a set play. I think we ran 4 down or something. Beautiful set play, ran it. Bogey gets a layup. Our next play, we threw 3 passes. The next play, we threw 3 passes again. And Donovan actually takes kind of a terrible shot on the right wing and misses. Okay. And our next play, we have a fast break. We throw 2 passes, leave it behind for Hassan. He misses. Okay. So in the opening 6 possessions of the second half, we have 3 possessions with 3 passes, 2 possessions with 2 passes, and Bogey turns it over. We will have 1 possession for the rest of the game in which we throw more than 2 passes in the front court. That's it. It's over. We stop passing the ball. Literally, stop passing the basketball. Stop playing as a team. Stop playing collectively. This is one of those shows where I think I have like this incredible information and I feel like nobody cares. Everybody just wants to trade everybody and do other things like that. And I feel like I'm giving like this amazing data, this amazing research. And I can like see like the chat room has no interest in this and you're listening and you might have no interest in this also because you want Miles Turner or Jeremy Grant or somebody else. No, I love that the fact that the chat room is discussing those trades, because that's what the chat room's for. But I actually, it's a funny job you have here, where like you actually do this research, you think it's incredible, and then you wonder at the end of the day, like, did anybody take it in? I think most of you are, because you actually are incredible audience and really, really into it. All right, so opening 6 possessions, 3 passes, 3 times, 2 possessions. Then Mike Conley takes a floater with 8:33 left. If I'm a cynic, I'm going to say Mike Conley knows he's about to check out of the game, hasn't got a shot yet, decides he's getting his turn. It's not really Mike Conley's persona. The dude was plus 10 last night. The dude's been positive now for 15 straight games. No, he's not been negative. He was 0 against the Warriors. Not been negative for 15 straight games. The last time Mike Conley was negative in a game was November 26 against the Pelicans. Okay? Like, it's incredible. Mike Conley's amazing because he passes the ball. But on this occasion, he didn't. So now Mike Conley's still in the game. And now Donovan comes down and has a no-pass possession. And then Mike Conley makes 1 pass to Donovan, and he doesn't pass, and he shoots a floater. And then the next possession, Donovan comes down and doesn't pass. And then Mike Conley checks out of the game. By the way, if you're Bojan Bogdanovic, you have not touched the ball now in 7 plays. Mike Conley, you might have touched the ball, you brought up the floor, you passed it, and knew there was no chance you were ever seeing it again. If you're Hassan Whiteside, you just had 18 points, you haven't touched the ball. Royce O'Neal hasn't touched the ball, and you're supposed to go back and defend every possession. Guys are just not touching the ball. The essence of Quinn Snyder basketball over the years has been obvious unselfishness. He believes in people touching the basketball to stay engaged. None of that. Now, they were switching, but I mean, still. Okay. So now all of a sudden, since the 8:33 mark, we've had 4 possessions. We've thrown 1 front court pass. Game's slipping away, by the way. We make 1 pass. Donovan misses on a drive. Well, Jordan's in the game. He hasn't touched the ball yet. So on the next possession, we make 1 pass and Jordan travels. Then we make 1 pass and Jordan takes a floater. I actually don't care if these balls are going in or not. You can't win like this because nobody wants to play with you. And nobody will make the extra effort defensively, and nobody will make the right plays if you play like this. I don't give a crap if any of these shots. It's not okay if they just went in. At least that's my opinion on basketball. We are now at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight possessions with 1 pass. And so now we swing a pass to Bogey, and what do you think he does? Shoots immediately. He hasn't touched the ball in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 possessions. He's run up and down the floor 10 times without touching the ball. We swing it to him. Woohoo! I'm letting this rip. Right? Clarkson, next possession. 1 pass. Misses a corner 3. That actually was a nice play. Donovan drove. He was wide open. These aren't all bad shots. These are not all bad shots. And some of them are going in, and our offense was actually okay. It's more stylistically what happened to us. Okay, but now Donovan has not taken a shot in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 possessions. He's brought the ball up 5 times in a row, made 1 pass, and never seen it again. So the next possession, Donovan doesn't pass and turns it over. And the next possession, Donovan drives and has an awesome dunk. Then we get a fast break alley-oop to Donovan. So we're rolling a little bit. Donovan makes a nice drive and then gives it to Pascal, who's fouled on a 1-pass possession. And then the next 2 possessions, Donovan takes a floater, no passes, and a miss, no passes. We are now at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 possessions where we took 1 or fewer passes in the front court. The next 2, Mike Conley comes back in the game. We throw 2 passes on each of the next possessions. Pascal gets a dunk, and Hassan hits a floater, and we close the half. So now we come out for the second half. Mike gets stripped on the opening possession, so there's no passes. Something weird happens here. We make 1 pass. There's a foul. We bring in a sideline out of bounds. Conley just shoots. Takes a dribble to his right and shoots. Like, if you're Mike Conley, you want your shots. Like, you better get them up, because what you're experiencing tonight is that you're not getting them back. They're not happening in the natural flow of the game. There is no natural giving the ball up to get to the next guy to get shots. So next possession in the fourth quarter, we're actually in the fourth quarter, right? So Clarkson's in the game, no pass possession, early three. Fine shot. Again, perfectly fine shot. It's the way we want to play. We want to play early. We want to let those rip. That's fine. The next possession, we move the ball. We throw 4 passes, and Whiteside gets fouled. By the way, we turned over a 3-pass possession where Donovan had a weird play. Bogey got a layup. Donovan hits a contested shot. Whiteside gets fouled. So we went 3 for 4 on scoring on the possessions with 4 passes. On 2-pass possessions, Donovan turns it over. Whiteside misses a free throw, fast break. We score on the next 2 for 4. Donovan 3 makes it. Conley 3 makes it. So we scored on 3 of 4 of those 2. So we scored on like 75% of the possessions where we made more than 1 pass. Okay. Conley goes out of the game. We nice Pascal gets a layup early in the offense. We kind of pushed it ahead, 1 pass layup. Great. No pass possession by Donovan for a 3 that's not good. No pass possession by Donovan for a turnover. Donovan drives, loses the ball. Picked up by Eric Pascal, flips it to the corner to Jordan Clarkson for a 3. It's good. Great play by Pascal. Donovan turned it over. Pascal was there to get it. Like, there's no pick from Rudy. There's no rotating defense. Like, it actually stems a lot back, and there's no Joe. Like, no Rudy, no Joe. Really matters here. The offense runs through Rudy. We set the pick. They switch. We spin it. Joe gets it. Joe rotates it. Now the thing's going, and we move it. No Joe. No Joe really matters here. Okay. The next possession, Bogey travels. Then Bogey, 1 pass possession, Bogey misses a 3. Same thing. When you don't move it, it just builds on itself. I don't even need to keep going. Donovan, no pass. I mean, like, really, I don't need to keep going. There's reasons. No Rudy setting the picks to start the offense. We're not playing the way we usually do. No, they're switching. It's hard to make those passes. No Joe, no natural ball mover. But that we got there and we're that had that demonstratively lack of collectiveness, to me, worries me. That can't be a happy locker room on a night like that. I mean, you lost, but it can't be a happy locker room. So buy your Joe jersey. Buy your Joe jersey. Because Joe, we missed Joe. We missed Rudy's pick setting. We missed everything that we are. We set, like, Rudy sets 90. We've built this organism. It's beautifully put together. It's fabulously gorgeous. It's a fabulous piece of art, but it's like a Jenga block. And you pull one out, and it crashed badly. And that's what we saw yesterday. It's not great. Tells you we're really fragile. So I'll leave you with this thought today, because I know you were all doing trades. Like, make sure it really helps, right? Like, I hear all this stuff about a wing defender. Okay, it'd be great. But if I'm Detroit and you have 1 wing defender, I'm just switching him off onto somebody else, right? Okay. Like, you put your 1 wing defender on Cade Cunningham because we had no chance in guarding Cade Cunningham in the second half last night. Like, okay, well, then I'm just going to run a small pick and roll and move that 1 wing defender onto Sadiq Bey, and then I'm going to let Cade Cunningham go against whoever I just chose. Like, you better go get 3 wing defenders if that's what you want to do. Oh, by the way, I need all of them to shoot as well as our guys we have right now, because what we do. There was an interesting question that was asked, and I'm going to see if I can find it before we wrap up the show. And that is passes against Denver. So give me 1 second to see if I can find this. Give me 1 second. All right. It'd be funny if last night's pass numbers were actually good. They won't be. All right. The fewest passes we've thrown on any game all year was Milwaukee 244 on the 31st, and last night we threw 246. Against Denver, we only threw 260. So we did not move the ball that much more against Denver. We did actually move the ball against Indiana a little bit, it looks like. Our best game of passes was Charlotte and then Minnesota. Minnesota trapped us and forced us to pass. I'll bet Toronto's in here. Oklahoma City on the opening game of the year, we threw 306. Oh, no, that was a later game. But Atlanta, we threw 305. Miami, we threw 301. Orlando, 300. I mean, like, passes are not everything. We lost a bunch of those games. 300 against Portland, 295 against Toronto. Minnesota, these teams are forcing us to pass. They're trapping. They're forcing us to pass. Indiana the other night was 262. It was our 28th most amount of passes in a game. Last night was our 246, which was 40. I don't think I can break it up by half. But that would be super interesting if I could, because and it does not look like I know how to do that. Because I'm, the second half numbers are the ones I really built on. All right. Thank you very much for tuning in and listening. And we'll try to get through it. Buy your 27 jersey. Buy your Joe Ingles jersey. He's 2, right? He's 2, isn't he? Joe Ingles 2? He switched around, changed, did something. Okay. So we've see how we come out of this. More COVID to come, I'm sure. So that'll be the next challenge. All right. And it's also dog days of the season. That was a bad night. Maybe we need those bad nights to get going. Phoenix had a really bad night the other night too. So we'll see how it happens. See you later.